Disney NFTs continue to drop on the Veve app. And with this already massive significance, I'm going to try to show you today why I believe the Disney NFTs are potentially some of the best in the world so far, and what ones to maybe invest in. Let's get started. Welcome in everyone, my name is Andy, and I appreciate you taking some time to come and watch this video on the channel. Just before we get started, if you do enjoy the content, I'm aiming for 1,000 subs by the end of the year, and I would love for you to be a part of this journey with me. Alright, Disney have continued to smash out the park, and Veve are improving with the drop system. We're getting amazing drops so far, everything seems to be going well, and we're getting a lot of new people on the app who are trialing it, testing it to see what it is about. But how significant really are these drops? And is it something that we should be looking at to invest in for the future? Is it something that we believe is going to improve? And what ones that I maybe recommend are the best ones to look at going forward? First of all, let's talk about Disney as a whole. Now, Disney started way back in 1923 with Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs coming out in 1937 as their first sort of film animation that they had made. And this is so significant to show because Disney continues to be one of the biggest companies in the world to this day, because they're purchasing different franchises, they're expanding, and they're moving and innovating with the times as we do so as well. NFTs have become very popular again, more so than they did in the last bull run in the beginning of 2021. And they're continuing to grow and starting to get more mass media as we move forward with this. Now, a lot of people are still very hesitant with it, and what I'm seeing in comparison is the same way as when the internet and social media started to come. People are very aggressive towards others who support them, and people really don't like the changes that are going on, thinking they're bad for the environment, the artists, and more. And I'm actually going to be making a video talking about the good and bad when it comes to the environment on NFTs. So if you're someone who's got an open mind a little bit more and wants to learn and understand maybe why Veve is one of the best places to go when it comes to these NFTs in the beginning, then be sure to keep checking on the channel, because I'd love to be able to help you further understand really what NFTs are without jumping the gun so quick. But Disney NFTs really have to have a lot of significance. If you think about being able to own the first ever copy of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs from 1937, imagine actually having that in your house in pristine condition from when they'd first released that. Now, I'm not saying you're going to have to wait near enough 100 years in order to get a great return from these NFTs with what you're doing, but the significance is really important. Imagine being able to collect the first thing that was ever released from an NFT, something that is going to be significantly increasing as a part of our own world in the future, already working towards that being the case. Disney drops themselves are so significant, not only because of the massive company that Disney are, it shows that they understand where this market is going and they want to dip their toes in it. We've got to remember why big companies do what they do. If we look at the companies that have been around for a while, you know, you're talking about DC, Disney, Visa, Meta, and so much more, there's a reason they are still going today. There's a reason they are still thriving and increasing their profits year in, year out. And it's because they know how to move with the times and they know how to innovate their products to stick with where the world is actually moving. Now, I know for me, I'm not that smart of a person. The people who are working with Disney, working with DC, working with Meta are all people who know the market and understand where the consumer is going to be headed before the consumer realizes it themselves. That is why they stay on top of the game, because they know what you're going to want before you even want it. This is why things like Amazon continue to thrive so much, because they're learning everything they need to know about us and what our buying purchases are like, and hence we buy things so impulsively and get them the next day because we love how we're being treated with this. Now, yes, NFTs in the beginning are still wildly unacceptable in a lot of people's minds, but that's okay, because most people don't truly understand the significance of what these can be, not only with collectibles themselves, but the world as a whole. And these big companies know that. They wouldn't be a part of it if they didn't think they could get some form of market share, some form of growth and new fan bases from this thing. And that's exactly what someone like me has been brought into. I'm now able to collect NFTs that are licensed by these biggest brands in the world, and I'm really enjoying becoming a collector. David Yu, who's one of the founders of Veve themselves, has wanted people to become more about collecting, and because physical stuff is just not my kind of thing, as I don't want clutter and mess everywhere, digital collectibles were the way to go. And with the world that has been moving to the digital space since the early 2000s, it was inevitable that this was going to happen. We're just now getting to the point where enough people are willing to accept that this is the case, that it can start to move forward before masses start coming in and accepting it as it is. This is what then brings me all the way back to the Disney collectibles themselves, and which ones I believe are going to be the most significant and the best ones to collect over the long run. And there's 3 categories out of the 6 that have dropped dropped that I believe will. And the first one is going to be Star Wars. The Star Wars fans here are probably going to want to kill me because I want Star Wars the most out of all of them. And this video will probably be going up on the day that Star Wars releases. So I will let you know on Twitter if I manage to get it. I'm putting Star Wars third, not because I don't think it's going to be one of the best, as I really do, but I think there's some other ones that are going to come out in the future that will do better than these ones with the Disney moments itself. C-3PO and R2-D2 are one of the few characters who are in all 9 Star Wars films, and I believe have been in every single other Star Wars film apart from Solo so far. Maybe there's an Easter egg that I've not seen that they are there, but that is what I believe to be the case. These 2 characters are widely known as some of the most significant in that series, and Star Wars continues to be some of the highest grossing films that Disney have been able to create. Force Awakens alone got over 2 billion in box office sales, which is absolutely insane with what they're going for. I know you may be thinking, what's they're going to do well, how you still put them third, and I know you're upset, but all 3 of these that I'm going to be mentioning are very significant. They're all going to be great purchases in the long run. I see other characters like Luke Skywalker, Darth Vader, Yoda, Anakin, and more to be maybe a little bit more popular than C-3PO and R2-D2, especially if they're able to bring in the lightsabers for these characters. That will be a big stepping stone for the Star Wars series when they do bring these in. I think they will be a little bit more sought after, purely based on those factors. It's not to say that C-3PO and R2-D2 are not going to be massive, as I'm going to do my goddamn best to get them, but I think the other 2 that I'm going to mention will be a little bit more significant in the Disney Golden Moments series alone over a long period of time. The second one is the Avengers series. 2 that are dropping are Iron Man and the Avengers logo. Now the Avengers logo I'm not going to be talking about too much. I still do believe that will be a great asset to your vault, into your Veve house in the future, but I do think Iron Man is going to be one of the biggest on the app. Iron Man will flip the Avengers logo. I'm calling that right now. It doesn't work on logic just because the Avengers logo has less. Iron Man will flip it. The Avengers is the top grossing film franchise that Disney have, with Avengers Endgame reaching 2.8 billion in the box office. Now all the others are still appearing in their all time. You've got Avengers Endgame here with 2.8, Avengers Infinity War, the Avengers. They're in the top 5. 3 of the top 5 are the Avengers. It will be the most known in the world when it comes to Avengers, and because it doesn't just target people from the past, as Star Wars has a fan base that's been growing since I believe the 80s, Avengers is something a lot newer where younger generations are able to grow up with these characters. The Star Wars of their generation is going to be the Avengers of this generation, and this is why it's so significant today and why Iron Man will be one of those characters that will be incredibly sought after in the long run. I'm a little bit gutted that we don't have Iron Man's actual collectible, you know, not the gold version, the one that was in the movies, but Iron Man itself, Tony Stark, Robert Downey Jr. are all incredible characters as one. And Iron Man himself is a massive character in these movies. I see him being a fan favourite for a lot of people and something that many are going to want. I think the demand for this on the app will be serious at the beginning, and it will still continue to be serious as we move forward. Once we get 1 and 2 years down the line and you have an FA of Iron Man, it's game over at that point. There's going to be barely any on the market. People will be holding on for dear life because this is so significant. The amount of money that they have made from the Avengers franchise in the worldwide box office alone is nuts. Think about the games that they've made, the collectibles they've had, and so much more that they're bringing out. You might be thinking then, how can you top that? How can you bring a number 1 after you've said the Avengers is 3 of the top 5 of all time movies that we've ever had? And this is what leads me to Walt Disney himself. There's 2 actually within the Walt Disney series that I'm going to mention, and that is Elsa and Walt Disney. I've made a full video on why I believe Elsa is one of the most underrated Disney collectibles right now, but I don't believe she's going to be the top of the top. I do think some of the Star Wars collectibles will be above her, as well as Iron Man, but Walt Disney and Mickey themselves, some of the most significant drops I believe will ever happen in the NFT space for a very long time. This is not to say that massive artists will get involved with NFTs and there'll be amazing drops, and other big brands will get involved as well and they'll bring amazing drops, but having Walt Disney himself with Mickey Mouse is just the absolute finishing touches to Disney as a whole. You mentioned Disney, Mickey Mouse is the first thing that comes to your head, and Walt Disney is the creator. So being able to have that statue that sits in Disney World as well in your vault as a collectible is just something else. How do we not know that NFTs are going to be what art will become? Because From my vision, I see in the next 10 years, we will finally be accepting things like the metaverse, VR and AR taking over what our lives actually hold. We no longer will need to really live our lives outside the safety of our own home with glasses in a world that is created for us, with things that we own and show off our personality. Maybe I'm a way off and it takes 20, 30 and 40 years. Ready Player One does actually seem that it could become some form of reality in the next few decades if we continue to work towards this. Having the first ever Walt Disney digital collectible in your assets is something that you can't really compare to anything else. I don't have anything to compare to it yet because it is just so significant. I would love to hear your thoughts on all of this, and if you believe the Disney collectible drops so far are going to be some of the most significant in the NFT space in the world for the long run. If you've enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel, and I know the video on the screen right now will be something you'll love to watch. Have a fantastic day.